Normally, when I try to do this, everyone would say I'm this, would play and go in here and make a mistake, make a mess, but they can't do it all. But they do start to go now.
Roger the Wild Child Show!
Wednesday night.
Let's try that back. Roll that back. Roll the theme music back. Hello, technical errors. It's okay.
It's not playing. I'm hitting a button and it's not. Son of a bitch.
Tell it to behave.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody talks amongst yourselves. Those in the audience, find something to do. And now a man who has opening day every day is Roger the Wild Child.
Let's get this party started! Ready, set, go!
On the air everywhere.
It's the Roger the Wild Child Show!
Hey guys, doing today it is the end of the month. That means tomorrow's April Fool's Day, so just be careful out there, everybody. Okay, just don't get spooked, whatever. Don't get freaked out when somebody's going to tell you something that is not true. Welcome to the show. We're going to have some fun. We're talking relationships on the Roger the Wild Child Show.
Roger the Wild Child Show!
And she's singing,
Roger the Wild Child Show.
How you guys doing? And welcome to the Roger the Wild Child Show. I am your host, Roger the Wild Child, and tonight we are talking relationships. Okay? That is our focus and our theme. But before we get to our first guest, Jimmy Knight, how's it going? How is your week, Ben?
So my week's been good. This is my week so far. Madonna, and I have Roxette. And I don't know if you guys can see behind me, but that's a whole shitload of records. So my week's been going. I've been feeding the addiction.
He loves his vinyl.
The addiction is real.
It is true. It is true. Star, how are you doing?
Doing great. Having a wonderful week.
Yes, and you know what? And she's finally got a microphone that works.
Yay!
Yay!
And, Hollywood, what's going on, Hollywood?
Oh, I had a great day. Well, I got to spend a lot of time with one of my best friends, who's very sick. I had a great day. Great day.
Nice, perfect. And so, this for me this week, I'm continuing on with baseball and got my son's coaching his team, and so that's been really busy for me, and so that's been a lot of fun for me to be able to do. So I enjoy that, and so that's been. We're gonna start games next week, so it's been really fun. So
nice.
With that being said, tonight we are going to take the show to a little, let's just say, a different turn. So instead of focusing on like celebrity headlines and news and stuff like that, we're actually going to be focusing on more issues that people can be relatable with. And obviously, what's most relatable is relationships. So we're going to bring on our first guest onto the show. I'd like to be able to welcome with us. He is an author. He used to be in Wall Street, but now he's helping couples with their marriage. Okay. He is the author of the book Equality, The Quest for the Happy Marriage. Please welcome onto the show. We got Tim Kellis. Hello, Tim. How are you doing today?
Hey guys,
Hi,
I'm doing very
Tim.
well. Oh, how are you guys doing? What a great group tonight. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
Exactly. You're breaking up a little bit, Tim, so just wanted to give you a heads up with your microphone.
Okay, no, can you hear me now? Okay, all right, I'll keep talking.
There
Okay.
you go. So, Tim, you let's just start off. First of all, you are currently an author. You were in Wall Street, okay, and now you switched, like I said a few minutes ago, or you switched over to help married couples, and that just seems to be like your forte now. Tell us more about it, Tim.
Well, let me just real quickly on the background. I grew up poor. My dad was a cab driver. I don't come from anything, but I put myself through engineering school and went and got my MBA. And I became the first semiconductor analyst on Wall Street, focused on the communications market. So I had a very successful career. And at the height of all of this, I met this girl that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And in fact, it was interesting. It's a girl I'd actually known for about 8 years, but she always had a boyfriend. I always had a girlfriend. But we got together, and this time neither of us were, and we hooked up. And if you've ever fallen in love, you know how quickly it happens when it's the right person. And this is what happened with us. We fell in love very quickly, got to know each other, and we'd known each other for a long time. But then we started fighting, and then most importantly, when we went to the therapist, and the therapist wasn't helping. This was a cathartic experience for me to get through that pain. That was, maybe I'm just sensitive, but that was very painful for me to go through. And the only way I could see out of it, I'm a Wall Street analyst. I approach it from a whole different perspective than anybody else does, but that's how I approach it, very analytical. So I've solved the marriage problem, and I teach couples how to create lifelong marriages. That's really the long and the short of it, but it's really about time that somebody comes out with a really strong message on how couples can stay together. So.
Well, that's amazing. That's a great story. Just so you know, you are crackling in and out. So I may need to have you give us a call in on one of our lines if your microphone is still distorting in and out.
Okay. Well, I'll lean forward so I can maybe hopefully hear it better that way. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, okay. I think it's if you back off a little bit, it might be a little bit better. I think.
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Oh no, you're totally good. You're totally good.
Yeah, I blame Roger for all of it, so don't worry.
There's this technical difficulty thing going on tonight, so it's probably a group consensus thing here.
It's just not tonight.
Okay, so Tim. Okay, so let's talk about some like relationships. I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot of from minor tiffs to like all out brawls. I know that I was on your Clubhouse page earlier today, and you were talking about a situation with you had some clients or whatever that was going. Where am I going with this? That just was a little more extreme than what you were normally dealing with. Did I catch that right in the conversation earlier?
Well, we were talking about conflict resolution, and so it was basically.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay, here's one of my insights, and this is to show you how simple this is. Relationships that are successful because couples get along. Relationships that aren't successful because couples don't get along. And so we had this whole room conversation today about conflict resolution. There's different severities of conflicts, but conflict resolution. Because how do you solve a marriage problem unless you solve a marriage problem?
Tim, I'm going to have to stop you right there. We're definitely having some audio issues. I did send you a message for a phone number. I'm going to have you call in on the Skype line. Okay, Tim? All right, perfect.
All right, sounds good. I'll do that now.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry about that. Give us a call on the Skype line, and I'll go ahead and mute your mic just so that way you are able to be seen and be heard. So, yes, did you get the number? Okay, hang on.
Tim, can you hear us?
Yeah. I'm calling. It's calling now.
Hello.
Sorry, boss.
All right, you have to mute your mic on the StreamYard.
Okay.
Yeah, I went ahead and muted his mic. So you can go ahead and talk on the phone.
All right,
so you
you're
can
good.
hear us.
Okay, it's still echoing.
You don't be on speakerphone. Just listen to us just talk to us on the normal phone.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Okay, so put the phone up to your mouth, like you're talking on the phone.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go on with it. So you were talking. So what was the category again that you were talking about as far as the type of relationships?
Well, we were talking about conflict resolution. That's at the end of the day. What I do is I make people consciously aware of how to resolve conflicts. And you know, if you were to canvass relationships in this country, I will not say 100% of them, but I'll say close to 100% of them. The problem is control, and you guys all know that. You guys are all social people. You know, with all your circle of friends that are married, you realize that the issue now is control. And when you realize that before the 60s, the men were in charge, and in the 60s, the education and employment of women. For the first time in the history of human civilization, women can now go get jobs and get educated. So they're now questioning their subordinate role as they should when you realize the solution is equality. That is what we're trying to figure out, is how to create marriages based on equality. Where there are no distinctions, there can be no superiority. Perfect equality affords no temptation for abuse and control. That is what we're trying to figure out as a couple. It's a partnership. That is the solution.
And so I know that you talked about, like, with marriages, everything's got to be 50-50. If it's not 50-50, then it's not marriage. If you want to turn down the volume on your on the computer, turn down the volume on the computer. You're getting feedback. You can be able to listen to the audio through the phone. Okay.
Okay.
So talk to us a little bit more about, you know, why you're strong, why it's 50-50 or nothing.
Well, it's, you know, you got to keep in mind when you say 50-50, you have to understand what that means. Okay. What I mean by 50-50 is that is a partnership where both have an equal say in the partnership. Okay. You have your side, I have my side. Think about it if you and I were business partners.
Right.
And I'm the accountant and you want to buy a $5,000 computer and we can't afford it. How are we going to solve that problem? You have your side, I have my side. Right? That is how conflicts are resolved everywhere else except for marriages, because of the emotional component of marriages. Okay? So you learn that when you can disagree, that is the goal, but then you get into arguments. And I'll be really short on this, but what I do is I connect the dots between our insecurity, which is your mom and dad got divorced. Now you have a fear of mom and dad getting divorced in your marriage. That leads to a relationship prejudice. It turns out that our mental problems that we have are prejudices, which are preconceived opinions that are emotionally based. And that prejudice is what leads us to being judgmental, which then leads us to being angry. So what I do is I connect the dots between fear and anger. So you come home late for work and your partner gets mad at you. Okay? And if you're not doing anything wrong, but you got to call and you just forgot it, you made a mistake. I mean, you should have called, you know that, but your partner gets mad at you. What we are trained to do is fight or flight. You're either going to respond back in an argument fashion or you're going to flee. But what I teach people to do is the reality is your partner's not mad at you because you came home late. Your partner's mad at you because of abandonment issues, self-esteem issues, mom and dad got divorced. There's background issues that is the source of the fear, which leads to the anger today. So you're actually blaming, if that's what we're trying to do, the wrong person, because it's not your partner that's the cause of the issue. The issue is the source of the fear, which is your upbringing. It turns out the biggest factor in a marriage is the relationship with the parents. That is the biggest indication of what's going to happen in a marriage, is the relationship with the parents, because that's what you first learn about love. Again, mom and dad got divorced. What does that do to your fear about marriage when you go and get married? And so when you understand the relationship between your background, your fear, and today's judgment and anger, then you can go back and it's forgiveness. The only reason why I can comfortably and confidently tell anybody that I have solved a marriage problem is because I forgave my parents when I was 25 years old.
And
it turns out we're supposed to be, you got to go back to the roots. Yeah, but more importantly, we're supposed to be born twice. The first is obvious, is biological, but the second, we're supposed to be born into adulthood. And the way we do that is when we separate the bonds of our childhood, the negative ones, so that we can, a balanced ego is not when you're better than anybody else. It's when you're better than you used to be. That is the goal that we are all trying to figure out in this age of individuality on how we could live with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And because you got to be happy with yourself first before you can be happy in a marriage.
Oh, absolutely. You gotta, and we always say, you got to love yourself. You can't love somebody else if you're not happy inside yourself, you know? And I think that's what happens a lot is in relationships is that people are so caught up in the, somebody whoever's got speak needs to turn it down. We're getting feedback. Okay, so what's happening is that we are all. I'm sorry, I'm distracted with the feedback. So what's happening is that us as people are getting caught up in the whole blaming other people, but not ourselves. Okay, I can't hear you right now, Tim.
Hello?
Hello, there you are.
Well, that's the point. The reason why you're blaming other people is you were trained based on your upbringing to be judgmental. Because your parents taught you to be judgmental. If they're being negative, they grounded you. My parents spanked me. That was my upbringing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they were, in my little child's eyes, I saw judgment by my parents judging me when they spanked. They were doing it for my best interest, all the good stuff. I wasn't abused, but they spanked me, and so I was judgmental. I hated my parents. I think as kids, we had that fear of that belt.
Our dad coming out of the room with the belt.
Right. But when I forgave my parents, I disconnected from that experience. Forgiveness means to cancel. That's what forgiveness is supposed to mean. And when you forgive somebody, you cancel all of the negative anxieties that you have towards them. I understood it from their perspective. I actually fell in love with my parents that day. That is the cathartic experience that we are all supposed to go through to become adults. Your mental age and your biological age are two completely different things. There's a whole maturity process that we are all supposed to learn, that we're all supposed to go through as we become adults so that we can be happy with ourselves in order to have a successful marriage. And then the marriage part of it is the partnership part. But when you don't heal yourself, when you don't forgive your upbringing, then you're going to be subjective in your relationship. Your parents didn't show you enough affection. So you expect your partner to make up for that from a subjective perspective. And when they don't, you get angry with them. And eventually they don't give you any affection because every time they do, you get mad at them. And so what you are afraid of happening actually happened in your marriage. Whatever you are afraid of in your marriage does happen. That is unfortunate reality. That's because that's what you focus on.
You put too much fear. You fear the worst in the marriage. And you're always thinking about your partner's doing the worst. Right? And
exactly.
So it's like the trust thing. It's like, where's the trust? And I think it's part of your growing up. We always blame growing up as a child. I was, the reason I was upraised is the way who I am now. Well, I think we use that upraising as a crutch. And as adults, we can make that change. We can make that decision to change that.
That is the point. Exactly. That's called maturity.
Exactly.
And what maturity teaches you, listen to this concept. You guys will love this one. The difference between somebody who is intelligent and somebody who is ignorant is one of them knows they're ignorant.
Think about that for a second. It's the person who thinks they know everything that is the most ignorant person in the room.
Right.
The person that realizes they don't know everything is the most intelligent person in the room. And when people can learn that they don't know everything, that's in essence one of the most fundamental things I teach people. Just realize that you don't know everything. Realize that your partner has something to contribute in the conversation. And when you open your eyes up to other people's opinions, particularly the person you sleep next to every night, then you guys get to grow together. Because remember, the goal is to learn to take on the world and not each other.
Right.
When
you learn that, 1 + 1 is equal so much more than 2. It's huge when couples come together and build this bond.
Hey, Tim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So everything you're saying is like crazy resonating home with me because my wife and I will be married for 15 years at the end of April.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
exactly. That's awesome.
yeah. But I mean, we had a bumpy road there for probably about 5 years ago. We had a really bumpy road, and everything you're saying is true. One, I was living my relationship like through the eyes of my mom and dad. And 2, things weren't going particularly well for me, job wise, mentally wise, anything. So I was taking it out on her the whole time. And it wasn't until really we had to really kind of sit down and go, is this it? Are we done? But we worked through it. So.
Well, but see, that's because there's love underneath that. If there's real love underneath it, there's a bond. I actually described what happens between two people mentally and psychologically when they come together. And as I like to joke, I hate to tell you this, Roger, but you can't drive to the local Walmart and pick up a replacement. Your wife is a gift that's been given to you, and you can't take that for granted. You can't, we're not getting along, I'll just go find you. No, God gives you a gift when he gives you this person that you match with.
Right. And he did, and a lot of times you always hear the saying, we were meant to be, the stars aligned, and is there truth behind that, Tim?
Well, here's the answer to your question, Roger. How easy was it at the beginning? At the very beginning.
It's always easy.
And that's why. It's because this is the person you're supposed to be with. If it's difficult at the beginning, guess what?
Well, what's the difference between, how do we know that, is it infatuation or is it the connection?
Love is vulnerability. Vulnerability is the fear of getting hurt. And when you go over that wall and open your heart to somebody else spending the rest of their life with you, and they also do the same thing, they get over that wall of fear, and they also decide they want to spend the rest of their lives together. That is when two people come together, and they fall. Vulnerability, and in fact, just so you know, at the beginning, it's called the false facade. You put your best foot forward, as you should be, and now couples just need to learn to be able to expose those other things about our character, okay, which are, again, our belief systems that we learned from growing up that aren't so positive. If we could expose that to our partner, then we get to grow with our partner. Then you whatever your parents did, whatever your mom did, if you're able to go to your wife and go, my mom did this to me, and I'm just so torn up about it, and she puts her arm around you and you cry on her shoulder, because I cried when I forgave my parents. It's not a pleasant thing to do.
Right.
You're not going to enjoy, but when you get through it, you realize what it means to you, because that's why you're who you are. My parents did a good job. My parents did a good job with me. Right? My mom was a secretary, my dad was a cab driver.
I say the same thing, Tim. I say my parents did a decent job with me because I'm a contributing member of society. I haven't been locked up. But they're the reason I'm so screwed up.
Well, yeah, but when you get through this experience of letting go of that, whatever that is, then that's when you realize the value of it. And it's a cathartic thing. But because here's the point is, if you don't forgive your parents, you bring that into your relationship.
Bingo.
Okay, and that's why you got to get through that. I have a couple I'm working with now. She has, her father told her when she was young that she was stupid, so she hates her father. The husband hasn't talked to his mom in 4 years. And they were both at the beginning saying, I'm not forgiving my parents. And I kept telling them, you got to understand that you not forgiving your parents is going to affect the way that you react to your spouse. It's not about your parents. It has nothing to do. Forgiveness has nothing to do with the person who did it to you. It has everything to do with mental freedom. You know what mental freedom is? That's where we are the ones who create our prisons in our mind. We are the ones who suffer because of that judgment, anger, all the stuff from our past. And what we do when we let go of that is we free ourselves to become who we're supposed to be. The biggest question you're supposed to be asking yourself as an individual is, why are you here? What is your mission in life? What does God put you on this earth to do? We all have to figure that out. It's taken me, by the way, 30 years. I'm on my 5th career, and I've lived in 7 cities in my adult life to finally figure out that I'm here to lower the divorce rate in this country. That is my mission. I'm going to lower the divorce rate in this country.
That's awesome.
No, I agree. And, and I definitely wish you the best of luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Roger.
And I definitely want to, definitely would like to see you taking things to the next level. I am going to be following you and watching, and I'll get back on Clubhouse with you. And I will also get back on with any events that you got going on. I'm going to follow you on Facebook and everything. So, Tim, definitely glad to have you on the show with us. Thank you for joining us today.
Listen, guys,
Thanks,
thank you
Tim.
very much. And my Facebook group is called the Marriage Support Group if you want to join that as well, Roger.
Perfect.
Search
I will
the Marriage Support Group on Facebook.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. Thank you so much, Tim.
All right, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, we'll figure it out and we'll have you back. There's a lot more. There's a lot more I got to unpack. So.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely we'll have more episodes like this. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, guys. So go ahead and unmute yourselves. I know we've been having some technical issues on his end, but thoughts on that? What'd you guys think?
I think he was spot on with the forgiveness thing. I'd like him to go into details on how you would know before you got into a marriage whether or not that person was in a position to have already forgiven their parents,
That's a good one. Yeah.
Definitely.
But see, the one thing I didn't understand is he said, you always go into it happy, but I was in a relationship once where like the first year was freaking like, I thought this was the one I was going to be with, and it all turned like after that. Now, granted, a lot of it was my fault, but because of the issues that I had, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. He said
on whether or not they were both have done their work. If you've both done your work and then you go into it and you're both happy in the beginning, it lasts. But if not, no.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do my work. So.
Hollywood, your thoughts on it?
Unmute yourself, Hollywood.
Yeah, unmute yourself. She's like, shit.
It was a really good point. Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. She's like, oh yeah, okay.
That thing. There we go.
There we go. I said I have lots of ideas. I don't know if I want to share them though.
Why not? Feel free.
I think a lot of it does have to do with your past. That if you haven't resolved the issues from your past, that you're going to bring it into your marriage. You're going to bring it in, and it's going to cause you're going to, if you don't work on that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's
absolutely.
It's exactly what he said as far as your parents, because you emulate what they're doing, and you think especially when you're in your first serious relationship, the one, not the high school one and not maybe the college one, but the
high school one?
Not the high school one.
But you think it's so serious. You think it's so real when you're in high school.
Yeah, that one broke my heart too. But
me too. Yeah.
I didn't marry her.
How many high school sweethearts broke your heart, Jeff?
75, and they weren't sweethearts. They were infatuations. I was stalking, but don't tell anybody.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to bring our next guest on. She has her own podcast. It is called The Dating Millennial. All right. And you can hear her on all the podcast platforms. I do want to welcome, please welcome, we've got Danielle. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How are you?
She's doing it again.
Yeah, she's talking, but her lips aren't moving.
I'm so sorry. I'm at my parents' house and they live in the country. So, like, their Wi Fi is absolute crap. So, I truly apologize.
That's
This
all
is
right.
not my choice.
As long as the audio is good, it's really tough to have a conversation when some audio isn't working. So as long as the
Okay.
audio is good and you're
As long as you can hear me, I'm cool.
and you're
You're
frozen,
totally good.
you're frozen on a smile face, so it's perfect. You
Yeah,
look great.
exactly.
So just stay
Okay,
right
I'm
there.
just going to keep
That's a
smiling
great
the whole
smile.
time.
So Danielle, you got a great show podcast. I know you completed season number 1, and it's great. I got a chance to listen to yesterday's episode. It was the Red Flag app. They're launching a new app, and so that was really cool. It was really engaging. I just really liked the conversation and how, like, you know, you're totally into the whole conversation, the dating thing. So tell me a little bit more about your show.
Yeah, totally. So basically, how it all started was I was in a 3-year relationship out of college. I met my boyfriend at the time, like the day where I said I was done dating in Los Angeles, and we met that like 30 minutes later, and it was kind of history from there. And then I woke up one day and realized I was totally not in love with him. And he was 11 years older than me, and he wanted to start a family sooner rather than later. So I knew I had to kind of like, you know, nip this in the butt sooner because he kind of had a timeline and I was just not even close to being ready. So I decided to end things, and I like mourned our relationship for 2 weeks and then kind of hopped back in the dating game. And then just like needed a place to vent because I was so confused. I didn't really know what was going on. People's behaviors were weird. There's all this different terminology. Technology was different. So I started basically a podcast and a blog because of a guy I was seeing. And now I'm currently seeing him still. And so he was like, yeah, you should do this, you know, see if this like works for you. And so long story short, Dating Millennial kind of came to be. And now, you know, my sister is actually wearing the hat that I'm wearing right now in the Denver. Yeah, she's wearing the hat in the Denver airport 2 weeks ago because it was our birthday. And she was visiting her boyfriend. And someone came up to her in the Denver airport and was like, oh my gosh, where'd you get that hat? I love Dating Millennial. That's an amazing podcast. She's like, I can't believe you know about my sister's podcast. This is so wild to me. I was like, I thought I'm the only one that listens to my podcast, but I guess not. So it's been really helpful for me in my healing process, understanding myself as a person, as an adult. And something I've been really passionate about, and I've always wanted to talk about dating. It's something I really, really enjoy, and I love relationships. And I know this is cliche, I'm that girl that loves love. So that's kind of my show. I talk about everything from like tech and dating to like serial dating to, I don't know, literally everything under the sun.
It sounds like your boyfriend was really intuitive.
Yeah,
to pick out that you would be good in that role as a podcaster. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it was funny because we had just started talking, and he was like, well, I think you have like a really good speaking voice, and I think you have really good insight. Like, you should totally do something. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, totally. And so that's just kind of how it all started.
That's awesome. I've been wanting to do podcasts for like years, and I just have no ideas and never like. It seems to me like everything's been done, but your podcast is a bit unique. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a millennial, so.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I've had people on that aren't millennials either, and I've dated people that aren't millennials, so I tend to date older. Yeah, so I tend to date like much older to the point where people are like questioning my thoughts on this. But you know,
I'll be talking to Tim next again.
That's funny. But yeah, no, I mean, it's not just for millennials. I think there is some truth in everything that's kind of said on there for kind of everyone that listens to it, whether you're just learning about a new technology that's kind of coming out and where kind of technology is going, or just, all behaviors kind of happen across the board, whether you're a millennial or not. Like I'm sure everyone has experienced someone ghosting someone, which is like when they just kind of poof disappear and you never hear from that person, right?
It is amazing.
I've done it and had it happen.
Exactly. We're all guilty of it,
When I was dating, none of these terms existed. None of them. Like there was no such thing as shadow banning and doxing and ghost. Like what the hell does any of this mean? I'm so old and angry.
Ghosts. I was thinking, what are we gonna do? Watch Ghostbusters? What are you talking about?
I ghosted people.
I ain't afraid of no ghost.
I like it, but I ghosted some people, and it was just me being a dick. So,
So yes, I guess millennials love to, define things. So that's kind of where that all happened. And it happened when I was out of the dating game. So I came back into it and was like, whoa, what does all of this mean? I don't understand anything. I need to analyze people's behaviors and just kind of like figure things out on my own. And so that's where, I just needed my own healing process. And that's what I'm kind of hoping to do with Dating Millennial, is kind of normalize the conversation about dating. I grew up in a really conservative household, a really Catholic household. So dating was just something we didn't talk about. And so I just wanted to be a resource for people. And, if I can help someone along the way, like, awesome. Then I've done my job.
Now, as a audio geek and as somebody who did radio for years, I listen to your podcast, and this is your first entrance into this field, correct?
Correct. This is my first time.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you some feedback.
Okay, let's hear it.
Actually, I was blown away of how professional it actually sounded. So,
oh my gosh,
I agree.
Yeah, like you had what I really liked is you had an opener and a closer, and you had effects and you had bumpers, and I mean you did a very good job of it being your. Now I didn't listen to your first one, so maybe I should go back and listen to that. But I listened to the one from March 30th, and it's a very professionally run podcast, which is great to hear. So.
Oh, thank you. You seriously just made my whole week. And that includes me spending time with my parents and my grandparents. So
nice. There you go. You got brownie points here, Jim.
That's why I'm still married.
I love that.
So Daniella, let me ask you this. Now you're dealing with millennials.
Yes.
Okay, when you talk to millennials that are dating and you talk to like people like, Jimmy and I, and we're in our 40s and stuff like that.
Old farts.
Yeah, pretty much. What do you see the difference in relationships between the two generations?
Just so you know, I have dated people in their 40s. And so I do kind of have first of all, you're not old. Let's just be very clear.
He's being generous. We're almost 50. So
I'll be 50 in 2 weeks. So
oh well,
I am 50.
Well, I mean, this might shock you. I went on a date with a 51-year-old once. I just wanted to figure things out and see what it was like. Mm-hmm. And in terms of generation wise, I think millennials are a lot more open to talking about things and sharing things and just being a little more communicative. Whereas I believe the older generation is sometimes a little more shy still. They don't necessarily know how to communicate it in how do I say this? In a helpful and efficient way where they're not worried about stepping on someone's toes. So I think millennials are a little more bold when it comes to dating. But I don't think that's a good thing either. So it just really depends. It's not certainly a good thing. Yeah, it definitely goes both ways. I think everyone, each generation has, their pros and cons, and everyone needs to work on their own things. But for sure, millennials definitely have more of this, let me be bold and just kind of do it and shoot my shot, if you will. Whereas, the generation above us is just kind of still a little more reserved, come from, the really old school, let me court someone, my parents' age, my grandparents' age, where let me court someone and kind of see how it goes. So it's a little bit different. There's a lot more values, I think, which I missed with millennials, and I wish millennials kind of stuck more to values. But to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, I was definitely born in the wrong generation. So
me too.
Look, it has its benefits. I mean, there's positives and negatives. I mean, to what you said, the generation, X, because that's what we are, Xers. I mean, we have more of those values and that old school, as you said, Danielle, courting and, would you like to go to a dance with me? Where nowadays you just go on an app and, there's booty 2 seconds down the road. So, yeah, I can see the definite, the deltas there. But
which app are you talking about?
Roger's jumping on that one.
I've been married for 15 years, so I don't have those apps.
He's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. What did I
she can look at my phone anytime. I had nothing to hide.
You guys are funny.
Look, I don't. I honestly don't. Like, I got married. My wife is older or is younger than me. I'm older, 7 years older than her. So we have this. I mean, I guess I don't think she's a millennial. I don't know. But we have this. We have this where there's this age thing every once in a while. And, well, yeah, but I mean, I'll quote something and she'll be like, "What? What's that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, that's right. You didn't see that." So, but I think she could be considered. What, she was born in 79. Is that millennial? 79?
No.
So she's an Xer.
Yeah.
She's just she's a non-practicing generation Xer. Okay.
Yeah, she might just relate more towards millennials, but definitely.
No, my wife relates to herself. It's that's not a negative thing. That's a positive thing.
You gotta beat to your own drum sometimes. I fully support that.
She is a unicorns and rainbows type of person, and I love that about her. So
I love that.
Perfect.
I love that.
Awesome. You got to love everything about the person, and
Totally.
it's not about it. If you don't have a if you're not compatible in that way, or if your partner likes something more than you learn to love what they love, because that's what's going to take your relationship to the next level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not a fisherman, but if the person I'm going to date is into fishing, I'll sit on the rock with them and cast a pole in and fish with them. I mean, if that's something that's important to them, I want to be able to support that.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean,
And vice versa.
I went on a camping trip kind of on a whim with someone I was dating, and for 8 days, and I am not a nature person by any means. So it was like, I literally called my sister. I broke down in an REI looking for hiking shoes because the guy I was seeing hikes 6 or 7 miles a day with his dog. And I was like, shoot, I really need legit hiking shoes. I just broke down and started crying in an REI. And my sister's like, there are people there to help you. And I was like, it's not that. It's just I'm overwhelmed and this is stressful.
Were you positive about going on the hike first?
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah. I 100% was. I was I was looking forward to it. I needed some time away, I currently live in Las Vegas, although I'm visiting my parents on the East Coast. And I just needed to get out of there. But it was just really stressful because I was doing something that was so outside of my comfort zone. And I was willing to do that because I was so willing to connect with this person on a different level. And so I broke down and cried in an REI, and my sister's like, just get what you need to get in and get out. This is ridiculous. You're leaving tomorrow.
It's even, I think it's just it's not a generational thing, but it's amazing how many times we do things for the ones that we love that you would never do if you were just on your own. So a couple years ago, we went to Costa Rica, and my wife wanted to go doing the zip lining, and she wanted to do the canyoning, and I was like, the whole time just petrified out of my mind. But I did it. I mean, as I'm going down a zip line, looking at a volcano on the left and some waterfall on the right, my first thought was I'm going to die, and then I kind of went, "Oh, this is awesome!" But I would have never done that on my own. I would have zip lining. Nope, don't do that. But it's just amazing what you do. And it's amazing how if you do find the right one and you do find someone that you have that bond with, that you're willing to do that. Now, even though I am not like you, I am a dick when it comes to these things. I just she's like, I want to go ziplining. I'm like, why do you want to go ziplining? I'm the old grumpy guy. So, but it's the truth. And the sad thing is I'll admittedly say I'm a dick about it, and I don't like the way I act about it. I wish I could change that about myself, but I don't. And really, the key is like all of these things my wife, through the years we've been together, has suggested to do. They've been so much fun. But every time she says it, I'm just like, I don't want to go do that. Let's go whitewater rafting.
No. Enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like said,
and I'm still alive. So
and you'll have these memories too, right? Like once you really like on your deathbed, you'll be like, you know what? I'm glad I did that with my wife and had that experience.
Totally glad. I would do it again. I would do all of those events that we did. I would do them again.
There you go.
They were awesome.
There you go. That's amazing.
Nice. Daniella, I really appreciate you being on the show. I'm going to ask you to stay on with us, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. And we're definitely going to keep following your podcast. So I'm going to put the link to your podcast on this podcast so that people can be able to access, as well as the link to Tim's book, or not his book, or his to get into the free counseling with him. And so I'll put those posts or those links on the post as well. But yeah, definitely, and definitely gonna bring you back on again. I'd love to have you back on the show and talk about relationships a little bit further.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna go back and listen to that first podcast.
Oh God.
We all go back to memory lane to the first one. We're like, oh my God, we sound like that? Oh,
look, hey, I'll be the first to tell you, when I first started doing radio, I listened to my first air check and I was terrible. I sucked at it. So how long have you been doing it, Danielle?
I started January 1st of this year.
Wow. So you're and you do it once a week?
Amazing.
I do it twice a week.
Twice a week.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you're only, 25 episodes in or something like that?
Yeah, about.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be that comfortable already, because
we're
again,
only doing once a week. Jay.
Yeah, I listened to yesterday's, so March 30th. So, but to be that comfortable already, great job. Good work.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to bring our next guest onto the show here. She is a mother, a surfer. She's also a writer and vegetarian. Please welcome Taylor Stillwells. Taylor, how are you doing?
You mean vegetarian? It sure sounded like you said vegetarian.
He definitely said vegetarian. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I felt like that's the better word to coin who I am. Just,
and
gay is gay. And, I don't fit that. And lesbian is so traditional. And I just think that, I don't know. So vegetarian, right?
Vegetarian.
Would be a better fit. We are what we eat. But, so it just doesn't work. So thank you for having me. Wow.
So yeah,
I have like jokes, but I'm not gonna say any jokes because I don't want to get canceled. So even though they'd all be funny, I just don't want to get canceled. So, but I used to be a vegetarian, but now I'm married.
Okay. Hey, I'm married and still works, but okay.
Yeah,
So how is married life going for you?
Well, it's good. I love married life.
How long have you been married?
Well, we've been together 15 years. We've been been married 1 year. I surprised her with a wedding last year.
Nice.
So we've been married a year. So
congratulations.
Thank you. But
15 though. 15 is the same as mine. Yeah.
15 is really the real number we're at.
Yeah.
But this is my second marriage. And the first marriage was with a dude, and I jumped into that super fast. And, I didn't want to commit that quickly this time. So didn't rush it this time. So there we are. But and I was listening to Tim talk about his book and the way he does it, I was thinking, oh God, I would be so fucked with that scenario with someone trying to keep me together to my first relationship, my first marriage. And I would have been screwed under that concept, but I think it's lovely for probably 90% of people. Mm-hmm. So, and I loved what he had to say.
I really think where he's coming from on that is the ones that just give up when like the first battle, and then they're like, I give up. And it's,
right.
You're out the door. It's like these people that get married for 1 year or 6 months and they're like, I'm just done because we had a fight and the hell with her or the hell with him. And you know, but there are definitely, I mean, scenarios where you need to get out. So,
like if you're married to a dude and you're a lesbian, might be a situation to get out.
Just realize what it's, and what made you realize that it was time to change?
Well, the truth is the marriage wasn't working because the marriage wasn't working. It had very, very little to do with my sexuality. But, you know, when you're both walking down the street and you have two heads looking, and we're like, but
Houston, we have a problem.
Exactly. So, you know, I grew up and, you know, in a really open family is what's interesting. But I did grow up in the South, and the concept of being gay wasn't overly popular. And so I just pushed it down and like, that's not me. That's not me. And I really didn't see it until I moved to California and was in a different environment and where it wasn't necessarily a bad thing to be gay. So
you knew when you got married.
I did not.
You did not. Okay.
I did not. And it wouldn't matter because that man was my husband, meant to be.
Yeah, no. I wasn't questioning because I thought it mattered. I just wanted to know if you knew.
Not a clue.
Okay.
No, it was years into the marriage, and we stuck it out and just it gave it our best shot.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, I gave it my best shot.
How do you get along now? I mean, you guys.
I understand that one too.
So the very short version is we got divorced with an 8-week-old baby. So, right. And we had a couple of good years, and then we had 5 years of pure hell. And I have a book coming out about that later this year. But how do you go through divorce when, you know, and it might have some words like murder, kill in the title. And, you know, fast forward 19 years later, you know, when the pandemic started, I picked up surfing, and me and my ex-husband and my wife and my son with my ex-husband and my ex-husband's current son with his other wife all met and went surfing together as a family every day. And to where the people on the beach were like, we get that you're family, but who's who? And
I like connect the dots.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is my husband, and this is my wife, and this is my son with him, and this is his son, and it just worked. And they're like, that is the epitome of like a modern family. And but it took a shitload of forgiveness to get to that place. There were good 5 years where I think, you know, I'm just lucky I'm not doing jail time. So, and
it's funny, like 5 years seems to be like the standard there, because like when my wife and I were having issues, it was probably close to 4 to 5 years of that time where, I mean, it wasn't, no, I don't think, I mean, she might have thought of murder, but
yeah.
Well, you know what? The thing is, with relationships, we all gonna hit turmoil. It doesn't matter. There's no perfect marriage. The most perfect marriage are the ones that overcome each other's imperfection or love each other's imperfection. You know, and so you just, you know, it's gonna take, you know, you get to learn and go over each hurdles along the way. Anybody that's always got a smile on their hands, walking, holding hands, and whatever, and never had a fight is not a perfect marriage. Because to me, that's a fake marriage. You're just, it's for show. It's not, you're not really, you know, you have that chemistry that, you know, you guys are going to bounce off of each other. You know, just like the saying goes, you're going to agree to disagree. And you have to, you know, you're not going to see eye to eye on every single issue. But to learn to communicate and try to get each other to understand where each other's coming from, that's going to be a key to a strong future relationship.
I tell you, it definitely takes, at least in my case, you know, that is close, you know, from it being done. And you have to take stock in what you've brought to it. And I mean, clearly, I think, I'll be the first to admit that what I was bringing to it wasn't, I mean, it was shit. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world. And unfortunately, you know, that old saying, you hurt the ones you love. I mean,
you really do.
She's the one I love the most. And I was being just completely awful for a while because things just weren't working out for me. And that's just terrible. And once I learned to deal with that and learned to stop projecting, and I still do from time to time, but at least when it does happen now, I can recognize it and I can correct it, and instead of letting it go for weeks and months, and the next thing you know, you're not talking, and it's hard work, and especially when there's 2 kids. But I can tell you one thing, I'm one of the ones who can say that the pandemic has probably made things better. Like my wife and I we get along great during this thing. And I mean, I think everybody's first worry during the pandemic was, oh shit, oh shit, here it comes.
Well, the pandemic either brought families together or tore them apart, so.
Agreed. Yeah, we've been, in California, we were on lockdown for more than 365 days, and San Francisco real estate, it's not so big. So no one was going to their own wing of the house. And, but I think it goes to what Daniella or someone was saying. Yeah, like what you're saying is that if you find something that the person likes and learn to like it, I feel like as long as it doesn't like go against your values, that's what you do. And, we spent the pandemic doing puzzles and all kinds of gardening, and, she surfed with me and all of the things that we
Did you get her to learn how to surf, or did she surf before you guys were together?
No, not at all. And so, she'll go out on a summer day. So if it's a nice, because our water's 55 degrees, on a hot day, the water's still 55 degrees. So she'll go out on a hot day, but on a cold day, she'll be there with her camera lens. She's a photographer and does sports pictures. So she's there getting close-ups of me surfing. So, that's still doing it together. And that, that's great. And I think that's what you have to do, when it gets hard and when it doesn't, right?
Yeah. No, agreed.
Yeah, and that's actually that's a good point right there, because even when the times are good, you still have to do that. You still have to put in the work. You still have to, do the things that, even though you don't want to do them sometimes, you still do them. Yeah, you're right. You still have to do it when times are good. Yeah. Not just when times are bad.
Right. And we have a different view on our relationship, and we're certainly married and committed and all of the things that go along with it. But we've also, our relationship goal is that we're married until we don't want to be anymore. And that's really as simple as it is. We didn't take vows for forever, because we both have been divorced and know what that's like, but just we're married until we don't want to be. And there's no stress with that. And every few months we're like, hey, how's it going?
Did you feel a change in the relationship after you got married?
We did for about a month and a half, and only because it's the first time we had to file taxes together. And hey, don't do that. You're messing up my credit now.
Right.
Those things. But it really cemented things. Again, we can do hard things together. And, because we'd been together for so long, we've walked through the death of a parent together and supported each other through, all of that, raising children and death and all of the hard things in life. And we're able to do it with a little bit of dignity. And now we may divorce over curtains. That's the current argument, is what color curtains. And so currently we don't have any. So that's where that's gone.
That's perfect. Leave them off.
So who moved in with who? Did you move in with her, or does she move in with you, or did you guys just go and find a place together?
No, she moved in with me because I had a home with my, I had a 3-year-old at the time, and I had a really strong, home for him. And so we just kind of eased her into that after 2 weeks of dating, like lesbians do.
Sorry, my wife, I bought a house in 2004. She helped me move that weekend and never left. So,
hey, it works, right?
It works. Yeah, it works. The reason I asked that question about if it was any different was because I remember when we were getting married, we did the whole traditional, go to the church guy and talk to him and, listen to the, why marriages don't work and, blah, 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 blah. And, he went around the room.
If he.
Oh, yeah. God, come on. I'm a gentleman.
All right.
There's a story there. There's a story there, but I'm not going to share it unless she wants me to. So I'd have to ask her. But no, I asked for his permission. But long story short is that the pastor said that, he went around the room and he asked who lived together. And it was almost like the people were, like
You're like
didn't want to put their hands up. And when he came to me, I'm like, yeah, we live together. And he just kind of did one of these, and he didn't really shake his head, but he was like move around, and then he goes, "It's been proven that people that live together divorce easier because they feel they can just get out of it." And I'm just like,
what?
Okay. And I feel the total opposite. I'm like, okay, we live together. We could have,
I think
split.
that's the opposite.
Yeah. But
I
now
think
that,
if you live together for a while and actually get to know each other and then get married, then it works. But if you get married right away, it can,
And we lived together
put
for
your toothpaste
3 years.
Your toothbrush in the toothbrush holder, or do you put it in the drawer? And it's like, oh my gosh.
We don't have any of that
It's
stuff.
the little things, that you find out, the little quirks that drive you crazy. And
Yeah.
those are the ones that just, set the relationship.
So we
on a time.
we've never had it. We've never had that stuff.
I think it's got to be 50-50. If it's not 50 and one's getting more than the other, it causes issues. I know it has for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Don't you guys think I like the 50-50 where both people are participating, but I feel like it's 100-100 where everybody's
It is
both
100-100. You're right. You're right. 100 on both sides. Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
Like,
you all have to put in your full effort. If
That's what I meant by 50-50, but I didn't. Yeah.
Right. Well, 50-50, 100-100. You got to put your full effort in. If a relationship's going to work, you both have to put it all in. It's not going to take one person putting it all in, the other one just sitting on the sideline and not putting an effort, because that's when your relationship, not necessarily marriage, but relationship fails.
I go 23.5. We had the discussion, and she was okay with 23.5.
Hey, you have a keeper.
I am. That's a hell of a lot of 23.5.
And you got two beautiful kids together.
We do.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a 13-year-old in August, and my daughter just turned 10 a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's been
entering the teen years.
What's that?
Oh, I said entering the teen years. So now you're going to have to listen to dating the millennial dating thing a lot more because you got going into the dating scene. So,
Yeah, good luck with that one.
You got to start taking notes on her podcast.
You'll be calling me.
Yeah, I will be.
Exactly. You'll be a guest on her podcast.
Like, it's funny. It's like they're learning about sex in school like next week. And it's funny because we talked about it. And he's like, "Oh, I just learned all of that from TikTok."
Yeah,
oh man, I think my 8-year-old's done that too.
We gotta figure out how to put filters on that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. We do have a filter. Like, he can't see certain things, but some of those videos come up where they just talk about it, and it's not like they use innuendos and all that stuff. So he knows enough to be dangerous. But
he's been watching Disney, right? Wait, we just got canceled.
No! Oh no! Not me. I love everybody, but hate everybody at the same time.
100 on 100.
100 on 100.
Exactly.
Like, I don't care. I just want people to be happy, and that's I don't understand. Like, I mean, we're not talking about relationships now, but I don't understand. We've all it's such a negative fucking place now to live, like the earth.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what it boils down to, is whether you're in a relationship, straight, not straight, dating millennial, old person like us. It doesn't matter, because what matters is just, I think, going back to what the first guest said, is just your relationship with yourself and how you have come to really, love yourself. And
100.
Yeah. End of the story. You cannot love somebody else unless you love yourself. If you're not happy within yourself, you're not going to be happy with somebody else.
Yeah, and I'm single, and I've been married 20 years. Now I'm single, and I'm straddling the line between the millennial and the other people, kind of like Daniella. I can go either way with my dating, and it's true. You can have, it doesn't matter what age or what point in life you are. That's what it boils down to. So.
I've
seen that. Yeah.
The thing that's kind of confusing me is each generation, at least the way I feel about it, each generation loses some of the sins of the past generation. At least I believe so, because I knew how the generation before me talked about things, and I knew I wasn't talking or having the same opinions as them, even though they were still openly talking about things. I felt differently. Now, here's my worry, is that the next generation should have less of it, and the next generation. But now, like even we've lost a lot of like the sins of the past, which we have. Each generation has lost them. But now we're just angry about everything. And it's like, it's almost, in my mind, it's almost worse because you can't do anything now without somebody being angry about something. And I'm a little worried that the next generation now is going to grow up in this hostile, negative, world that it's never going to go to this where we can disagree about something, where we can, how the hell are marriages going to work if
that's why he was saying you got to unpack your baggage and do your forgiveness,
Yeah, totally.
He was right on with that.
Yeah,
right.
If we continue down this road 25 years from now, people won't even get married. They won't find, they might not even be, screw marriage because it's just a piece of paper anyway, but they won't even find relationships and they'll just be moving boom, 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 because one little thing will set them off and they'll be like, I got to get out of this, cancel, boom, move on to the next. So,
but we also have more tools now than we've ever had in the past for resolving those things too. So we have
straying from those things.
Right, exactly.
We have the ability to heal now better than we've ever had in the past. So
I hope so. I hope
and move forward.
I really
from
do.
all of it.
I mean, because we do have all of this at our here's the thing. We have all of this information, technology. We have all of this. Daniella, quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
When you do your podcast, how many times are you scared that you said something wrong?
All the time.
Right.
You know what? I try really hard to not edit as much as possible because I want it to be super authentic, and that's like the whole point of it, right? Like no one really cares. Well, maybe people do care, but I don't care anymore about being perfect. Like if you don't accept me for me, like you're not for me, and that's okay. And I take that into my dating, my dating life too, and just in my life in general. Like if you want to be my friend and you don't resonate with me and you don't resonate with like my imperfections, then you're not my person, you're not my people, and that's cool. Like we can move forward, so but I get what you're saying for sure.
Like I listen to, like, before I can go to sleep tonight, I got to listen to this because I just I'm like, did I say anything wrong tonight?
Right, exactly.
You showed up as your authentic self. It's all right.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
She's downstairs, probably, Jim.
Oh no, I'm not thinking about her. She's shit. She knows.
She's like, and now we're going into it. We did that relationship episode, and now look.
She knows all about me by now. Wait, is that her packing the bags? No, she knows me. She knows me for my authentic self. And somehow she's still here. So,
well, you know what? She's a keeper then, Jim.
Yeah, everyone tells me that. It was funny.
Believe it? What?
Oh no, I do. I do. We have this funny story. So like when we were dating, she was so at the time we were dating, she was 24, which made me 31, somewhere around there. So obviously I'm older and she's younger.
Robber.
I know. Tell me about it. Why did it seem so much better back then? Now it's like
I can't be one to talk. So
I'm 48 and she's 41, and it's like it doesn't seem as hot as it did when I was 31 and you were 24. But it's funny because at that time in my dating world, I had never been with anybody older than 24. So we were together the night before her birthday, and we were laying in bed, and it was like I said, at midnight I gotta kick you out because you're gonna be old.
Oh, wow.
And she laughed, and that's when I knew. When I knew we were. Yeah, that's when I knew we were gonna be together, because she laughed at that. She found it was funny. And it was meant to be a joke, and it was meant to be funny, and she laughed at it, and
she likes her quirky sense of humor.
Sometimes.
So Taylor, where's Stephanie? I know she's in the other room because
she's in the other room.
Yeah, she chimed in. She chimed in and she gave a little heart. I put it up on the screen. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
But she's watching the show, so why don't you bring her in? Have her come in and get on screen with you.
Okay, she should be listening, and I can tell you,
yeah,
you
Stephanie,
won't see.
go in the room.
You're going to see that door not open. Remember how we were talking about doing the things your partner loves?
Right.
No, she does a lot, but won't do this one. Won't do this.
We need to respect everybody's boundaries and personal rules, Roger. Really.
I know.
Wow, is Star reading from like a handbook?
She was
I know, right? Exactly.
I would pay Stephanie $100 if she walked through the door in the next 30 seconds.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I like it. That was a good one.
So,
oh, she's coming.
She's coming on. She said, "I'm perfect right here." Okay, that's 50. Half in and half on, half off.
Look at her. I told you. Huh? I'm perfect. She is.
Come on,
Stephanie. She is perfect right there. I'm gonna tell on her. So for 15 years, she goes and gets her hair done, and she sends me a text that says, "I hope you like it. It's really different." And she comes home with the same hairstyle. I wouldn't even have known she went to the stylist. So I get a text a few months ago, says, "I'm coming home. It's really different. I hope you like it." Something like that. Or I'm going to be bold today. I'm like, okay. She comes in. She's like curls, kind of similar to mine, similar cut. She is shaved into a mohawk. Has cut off all of her hair into a mohawk, and not a long one, but like this, but like crossover between Flock of Seagulls. Daniela, you won't know that. I do. But Flock of Seagulls and a little bit of punk and a little bit of like hot, trendy lesbian, and looked fantastic. And I was like, oh my God, she did it.
You just said flock of seagulls and hot trending lesbian in the same sentence.
You said anything goes.
Oh no, I appreciate it. So I also appreciate what she did to her hair, because I've been sitting here for a year and I've been like the whole year. The only thing I do is shave it myself now. Like I grab a razor and or one of the electric ones and I just do it myself, because what the hell, it's cheap and it's free and nobody cares. But I've been like that's my problem. I won't do things like that. But I've been like, I'm gonna dye it pink and I'm gonna grow it a little bit and I'm gonna put a mohawk in it, because what the hell do I care? And I never do it. I just don't do it. But God bless for her, because I mean, that's awesome. I want to do that kind of stuff. I just don't.
Oh, she took badassery to a new level. Like, she's so much hipper and cooler than I could ever be. But
I don't believe you. She has to come and show us.
Yeah, we got to see this.
Yeah, we do need to see it.
Does she still have it?
It's been about a month, so it's certainly longer, but it's still there. But
just pop in with your head. Just stick your head in like that.
Stick your head. We just need a headshot.
Do it. We're on a delay.
Good. All right.
Do it. Roger's like, okay, this freaking train wreck is over. Hey, Roger, are we gonna do our special segment before we leave?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Here we go.
All right.
Is this where we're all getting matching tattoos?
No, I promised it last week. It's Tales from the Table.
No. We can't do it. No.
That's it.
There it is. Check it out.
Yeah, that was trendy. I liked it.
I am so
Love it.
Fuck, I owe her $100.
Wow. Fuck our segment. That was awesome. See, that's what giving 23.5% will get you. All right, back to our segment. It's now Tales from the Table.
Yes.
With Star.
Now let's go.
There's so many tales.
For a second. Yeah. So Star.
I'm just gonna go hide under the table now because it's too scary.
Okay. So Star is a professional masseuse and
massage therapist would be
massage therapist. Okay. Let's get. Okay. So. She's
you
got
put
some
professional and
stories.
masseuse in the same word and then say tales from the table with that scary music, and it just kind of ruins my whole profession.
Okay, so go ahead and tell us the tale of the week.
I don't know. I've been a massage therapist since 1996. We're getting pretty.
It doesn't have to be for the week. It can be
We've
any
got a
tale.
lot of stories to tell.
You knew this was coming.
Yeah, and I told you not to do it. On relationships, communication, the whole thing, boundaries.
All right,
I don't know what you're looking for with this tale. How crazy do you want me to get? I mean, it is a tale, which means a story, which is usually fictional, so I could get pretty crazy if you want me to.
So this is how this all went down. Last week, last week we were doing the show, and then after the show was over, Star just opened up, like just was like, "Hey, the show's still going on." Almost like she was like telling us stories, and I was like, "We should do Tales from the Table," because she told us a tale from the table. So now we want to hear one.
So we gotta hear a tale from the table. Yes. I don't know what you're looking for in this. I mean, we didn't go over this. So.
It's called
It's been great being a massage therapist. I'm very professional. I take my ethics very seriously, but there have been some funny things that have happened on the table. Well, this week, so I started a new job as a massage therapist in a new place, a new clinic. And this week, a guy came in with long, the long shorts, and you can't really massage past their knees if they have long shorts on, like the running shorts. So, I said, can I move these up a little bit so I could, massage his quadriceps and everything? And he's like, sure. And so he's trying to pull them up, but they just wouldn't pull up. And so he just reaches under the table and he's like, I'm done with these. And he just chucks them across the room. It was hilarious.
And that was Tales from the Table.
It was a scary tale. Luckily, those shorts didn't hit anyone or, they were flying across the room.
It wasn't quite the story for the music, but okay.
All right.
It was scary enough. Okay. You're talking to me. Stuff isn't that scary. I keep it light and fun. Come on.
Oh, that was perfect.
Taylor, Carol said, "Yay, Stephanie." Good job.
Hi, Carol.
Yeah, we're proud of her stepping out of her comfort zone like I had to.
You guys have I was actually just looking down, zelling her the money.
Nice.
Well, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the next tale's gonna cost somebody $100.
Oh, okay.
I take Venmo.
Jim's gonna have his Zelle app out now.
And that was our last episode of Tales from the Table with Star. Tune into Dirty Stories with Jimmy. No.
That's right.
Okay, so Daniella, I do want to thank you for being a part of the show. Also, Taylor, thank you for joining us. Yes,
thank you. Thank you, guys.
And I do want to thank Tim for talking. Sorry about the technical issues in the beginning, Tim. We'd love to keep you on a little bit longer. We'll work that out and definitely have you back on the show at a future time. Don't forget to join us each and every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Pacific. We are live on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch. And every Thursdays, we upload and you can download on 18 different platforms. And we are now on Amazon Music this week. And you can say, Alexa, play Roger the Wild Child show on Amazon Music. And guess what? We'll be there. Woo! I do want to thank you, Jimmy Knight. Also, Hollywood, Star, and our producer, JJ, moved into the producer position. Until next week, I'm Roger the Wild Child. Over and out. We'll see you guys next week.
Woo!